Hello everyone, this is Zweistein and this will be the final Federation video tutorial for Star Trek Armada 2 Fleet Operations mod. Today I'll be showing you off a team strategy, the economic opener, against my cousin Samuel again. Now, Federation Economic Opener. Why is it a team strategy? It's because we go and we basically forgo early defense, not for technology, and not for fast expansion. Rather not for technology. We forgo it for the fast expansion. What we do is we open up with two storage docks, so two mining stations immediately, and then what we do afterwards, we expand and take another and build another mining station while the second constructor builds Starfleet Engineering at home, and that's basically the core of the build. So this is good for team games, and team games will generally be on large maps. In a 2v2, depending on what map it is, this may not be the most viable strategy. For example, on a smaller 2v2 map, this strategy may put you at a disadvantage, especially if you're getting double rushed by your opponents. But in a 3v3 or a 4v4 game, this becomes a very viable opener, because it does give you that extra bit of resources that you then put towards tech. Now, this is good for both avatars. This can be easily performed with Mason and with Risner, though Risner is slightly better predisposed for it, because Risner is the better avatar to rush tech with. But with Mason, you can very easily open up this way and then switch into Excelsiors, or switch into double yards, and maybe even triple yard, or just go like open up like this, build your two shipyards, and then immediately go into warpins. It's a very open strategy. It's not set in stone as much as the other strategies. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to open up economically then, and since I'm playing this in a 1v1 and I'm feeling very generous today against my cousin, who has not won a single game on the video yet, so we will do a Defiant rush. Generally, you do not want to do a Defiant rush, because if you get chassis level 3, you might as well grab Phalanxes, which are a lot better than Defiant, and Sovereigns, which are built faster than Defiant. Yes, for some reason the Defiant has a longer build time than Sovereign. But yeah, we're feeling generous today, so we're going to do a very hard tech rush that's only viable in a 3v3 or a 4v4 game, where you do not need to worry about the enemy wiping out your expansion. So once again, our build order is going to be storage dock, Starfleet Engineering, expansion, and another storage dock. We're playing on reflections today, so it's a pretty big 1v1 map with lots of expansions, which suits this strategy well. If you can open up like this and maybe grab 3 expansions in a team game and double yard phalanxes, then this strategy is going to be very effective and might even win your team the game. So without further ado, let's see if our opponent is ready. Okay. No, do not worry. I will go and I will post all the possible transitions from this opener. Well, not all of them, but the most common transitions from this opener in the description under the video. Because the build orders are slightly different for them. For example, with our tier 3 rush, we're going to be foregoing defenses, early defenses whatsoever. We're not even going to build a single ship to defend ourselves. We're going to straight grab chassis level 2 and then chassis level 3. Now, as you've seen, we've gone and picked up 6 miners instead of the usual 4. That's because we are expanding so early that we might as well build the 2 straight after the 4th one is finished and send them to our expansion. So our opponent is going warping rush. Hopefully this time he can manage it. As you can see, Starfleet Engineering, and we are expanding to our natural expansion. It's not recommended if you're doing this build that you grab any forward expansions. So in a map like Duel 2 where you have middle expansion point, it's not recommended. Well, you wouldn't use this in Duel 2 anyway, but in a team game where you have like an expansion and then another expansion like towards your opponent, don't go for the foremost expansion just because you won't be able to defend it. Not even with an Avalon rush. Yes. But it is quite possible, yes, to rush Avalons, and I'll make a note to tell you when is it possible to start building Avalons, or because the build order for an Avalon rush from economic opener is almost identical to the T3 rush. Basically what we're going to do now is grab chassis level 1 and build a small shipyard to get set up for the larger shipyard. Now with T3 rush we can easily build a turret here first, just because we won't be building anything from the large shipyard. And here we go, sending our freighters to our expansion. As soon as chassis level 2 completes, we're gonna grab chassis level 3. This is the fastest way to grab anything from Avalons to Sovereigns to, yes, Defiant. Unfortunately, Defiants are as quirky in this game as they are in canon. Overpriced and overgunned for their own good. So now that we have the small shipyard, if we were rushing Avalons, as soon as we get chassis level 2 going, we would have grabbed a large shipyard with this Mediterranean instead of this turret. But with the tier 3 rush, we don't need the large shipyard yet, because we won't be able to afford chassis level 3 if we build an Avalon. So now we start with a bond. We're gonna produce a few Intrepids just to defend ourselves. but the priority is still chassis level 3. Okay. Now, the good thing about building Intrepids with this strategy is that the Intrepids are as fast as Defiant. Yes, I know, I can see you want my scout. Not today, my cousin. I will never give up my scout. By the way, if you're a beginner player, you're going to be losing a lot of scouts, but don't stop building them. Scouts will win you games. They will literally win you games, and I have forgot to build chassis level 3. Now we're going to pause this Intrepid a little bit just so we can begin construction on the Yard. As you see, with this fast expansion, we are looking at a lot of resources. We were able to grab chassis level 2 and chassis level 3, and on top of that build an Intrepid, so we have some form of a defense. So I have a feeling, since his scout is so blatantly standing here looking at what I'm doing, that the first warp-in is going to come up here. So in this case I might want to upgrade the phaser platform. Because we're playing Risner, we want a phaser platform, we don't want anything less than that. And now because I've done that, I can't afford any more Intrepids if I really want to start building Defiants as soon as possible. And here comes the warp-in, just as predicted. I'm a little bit worried for this miner because it's currently docked at the station. How soon? Okay, very soon. Ah, that's too late for that one. Once again, he's focusing on my Intrepids. I can unpause and start building more Intrepids now. Right, let's repair. And here's the importance of having your shipyards correctly positioned. Okay. Sorry, I somehow switched the viewpoint to the cinematic view. Because we correctly positioned this shipyard, we can continuously repair our units now. Now what I'd like to do is grab this, because we're not gonna have enough Tritanium otherwise, but oh, we're attacking the wrong thing. Fortunately, you can't tell your defensive platforms what to attack in Star Trek Armada. Now I'm going to make another expansion down here. It's less open one, and he won't suspect it because he's been up here. Well, he didn't manage to destroy any of our freighters, and that's very important because we don't want to be stopped now. And he's even going to lose his San Francisco Nebula type. Unfortunately, no rank up from that because the phaser platform killed it. Okay.
Starship construction commencing.
Now, that was close. If I hadn't predicted that he would have attacked here and upgraded this phaser platform, we would have lost this expansion entirely. But now, the fun part. I unfortunately don't know exactly where this expansion is. It's somewhere here. Because, yes, he has an expansion up here. Maybe it's a bit more to the left, actually.
Starship complete.
So I'm going to be a noob and scout it out with my scout. And there we go, our first Defiant, and with that we can go on the offensive.
Starship construction commencing.
All work crews report to station. You got it.
Now, in the meantime, I'm going to set up another turret here.
Starship complete.
There you go, here's the expansion.
Logical request. All sections report.
Enemy engaged.
Engage engines. Engage engines.
And we might pause the next Defiant just to build the...
Report to station. Engage engines.
There you go. Just to build that... just to upgrade this into a torpedo turret to really deny our opponent the ability to kill us. Fortunately, Excelsior is dead. This is not the quantum torpedo upgraded Excelsior from Deep Space Nine, so it cannot stand to the Defiant. Was it? I cannot remember the Excelsior's name now.
Starship complete.
I'm going to get a lot of angry comments for that.
Station construction commencing. Enemy engaged.
I'm sorry, that was sudden and unexpected. So as you can see, this Defiant gives us... As you can see, this Defiant gives us an advantage. Because it does a lot of damage. But I wonder, where did he expand to? Oh, did he grab his forward expansion first? Right, let's upgrade this to a torpedo turret. Yes, this will pause our next Defiant, but doesn't matter as much now. We now have sufficient defense up here to never worry about warpings. This is a different story, but he hasn't scouted out this expansion yet. I'm actually going to go over here because he's just expanding, yes?
That is a logical request. Proceed. All hands to battle stations. Set a course. Set a
As you
course.
can see, Defiants are as fast as Intrepid, so it's a nice mix of ships.
All hands to battle stations. Confirmed.
We're here. We're going to
Proceed.
delay that Defiant yet again, but we're in a great position, so we don't need to worry about getting a third Defiant out too early.
Sections report.
And we're going to delay it for Starfleet Science because we really want those. We really want the critical shot. And the 3 Cobalt torpedo. It's what's going to
Enemy engaged.
kill it's what's going to kill our opponent's starbase. These Defiants are just eating away at these miners. This is the one thing that Defiants are really good at. They're a really expensive raider. Yeah, they're hard. Yes, they're hard to kill, and their critical shot is nothing to laugh at. But uh,
Bring all weapons to bear.
they're against warships and fleets. Both sovereigns and phalanxes are better.
Starship
It's just it's
construction.
unfortunate. The Defiant, being a chassis level 3 ship,
All
it's
sections report.
is the it's the worst choice of the three,
Set a course.
and
Enemy
it's not a
engaged.
bad ship, but it's just it's not worth it. Usually,
All hands to battle stations.
as you can see, some major attack coming in, but the torpedo turret is going to do a lot of damage to our opponent.
Ahead.
And since we have fast ships, we can go and respond. Let's grab 3 Cobalt torpedo first. And he almost got that.
Alert the crew.
Station is under attack.
Set a course.
Now this torpedo turret is going to help us a lot. Like, torpedo turrets are nothing to sneeze at. They're a very strong defensive emplacement. Whe- Whether and it doesn't matter if they're Risner or Mason. Both torpedo turrets are just amazing, but they are expensive.
All sections report. Engage engines. Set a course. Bring all weapons to bear. Engage engines.
And this ambassador is unfortunately stuck.
Research complete.
All sections.
Oh no, it's just the Intrepid. For a second there I thought we might have gotten an officer Defiant, which
Set a course.
really makes the Defiance awesome. That's where they start firing bursts instead of just single shots with their pulse phasers. And I think Defiant must have just left. Yep.
Engage engines.
Well, let's waste some more money on critical shot.
Sections report.
With 3 Defiants firing one critical shot each, we should be able to fight the enemy under their starbase for extended
All sections
times.
Set a course. Set a course.
Enemy engaged.
Divert power to weapons.
And these monsoons, they're not gonna do much versus Defiants, because Defiants have ablative armor. Yes, they also have tactical weapons arrays, which kinda half negates the ablative armor, but then the bonus from tactical weapons arrays is slightly negated by ablative armor. It's
Ahead.
a weird ship, but both passives do actually, they do not cancel each other out. They stack.
Engage engines. Engage engines. Set a course. Ahead full. Ahead full. Ahead full. Engage engines. Fire.
Another ship. At this point, he's just feeding us resources, not resources, experience.
Enemy engaged.
You got it.
Let's build another
Approaching course.
Euro the art.
Divert power to weapons.
And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to give this Defiant the killing blow, so I'm going to almost entirely destroy this, but since our opponent doesn't seem to be decommissioning, let's move back a little bit and grab
All sections.
a Defiant.
Standing by.
You will do. Oh yeah, there's another disadvantage for the Defiant is this. 80 crew. The Defiant will just
Engage engines.
unfortunately the best way to counter Defiant is to beam on it, and you'll just steal your enemy's Defiant. And if you're Borg or a Klingon,
Enemy engaged.
your opponent is going to be hard pressed to steal the Defiant back. Okay, there we go. This is another level up, and we're going to do the same thing with this station. We're going to feed this Defiant because I really want veteran Defiant this game. Not Sovereign, Defiant.
Steady as she goes.
Let's send the ships back.
Prepare the docking bays. Laying a course.
And I'm surprised he's not responding to this, but then there's not much he can do against this fleet.
Engage engines. Change
No rank up. Slightly disappointed there.
head full.
Unable to comply.
Engage engines.
Another awesome point about the Defiance is they're the only Federation ship with more offensive value than defensive value.
Report.
And when they gain veteran status, they also gain dual quantum torpedo launchers. And this is bad for him,
Station is under attack.
because this turret is going to just single-handedly take out the galaxy,
Set a course.
and I'm not even worried about that. The only thing I'm worried is having supplies. Oh no, he's tanking for it.
Station complete. Station is under attack.
Okay, we are at red alert, and there you go.
Give the word.
Oh, he gets quantum torpedoes already.
Enemy engaged.
I apologize for the slowdowns, but yes, as you can see, we now have a Defiant with quantum torpedoes. And you can see he fires 2 times 4 quantum torpedoes, so it's a really awesome ship, but not practically very useful. And there goes his galaxy.
Set a course. Ahead full.
With this, it's pretty much game over, so I will give my opponent the GG.
Ahead full. Ahead full. Engage engines. All sections report.
Starship complete. Enemy engaged.
All sections
Now for the critical shot, which will disable the starbase's weapons.
set a course. Ahead full. Bring all weapons to bear.
And now these ships are just not making it in. Not with this many Defiants.
Starship
Standing by.
It's once again disable. And just snipe his starbase. You can see, like, I'm spreading out critical shot, and thus he just can't fire on my fleet, because his station is in a constant state of having its weapons disabled.
enemy engaged.
All hands to battle stations.
Anyway, this was the Federation economic opener. I will now leave you to enjoy the carnage. Well, yeah, Our opponent is decommissioning. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial series. I'll be doing one more video on
Enemy engaged.
on the Federation in general, talking about which ships are good for what and when you should build them. But and that's it for the Federation. Sometimes what you will see some people do with Federation is go for mixed tech in team games, but that's not a strategy I have ever done, so I'm not really qualified to explain it to you, and it's not a strategy I can show off in a 1v1 anyway.
All sections report. Fire all weapons. Fire all weapons. Fire up the engines. Moving out. Returning to port.
And this is it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for the final video. Zweistein out.